Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Mr. Kovalt, and in this video I'm going to be going over an example problem involving elements and the periodic table. So let's get into this. So in this example problem, you've seen something like this before where you're given a table. Some of it is filled out with some information and some information is missing. And so you are required to fill out the table, putting in the missing information based on the information that's given to you about that element. So let's get in this. But before we do, let's go over the structure of the periodic table really quick. So I'm going to bring my periodic table over. Okay, give me a moment. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. Okay, how's that? That looks good. Okay, so the structure of the periodic table. First, we need to identify things like metals, nonmetals, and metalloids. So remember, this stairway here, these are the metalloids. So if you look at this stairway here, so here, so along the stairway, so you can see that on the stairway are these orangish colored elements. These are the metalloids. And so the metalloids are in between the metals and the nonmetals. So these are going to be your nonmetals here on this side. So on this side are your nonmetals. Anything on this side are metals, including these. These are actually inserted inside this group here. You'll see that this has a space for these, so these are inserted here and these are inserted here. So that's the first basic division that you need to remember. So again, we have the metals on this side, including these down here, and then we have the metalloids and we have the non-metals. Okay, so that's the three basic structure, the division of the periodic table in those three main groups. Also, the numbering of the periodic table. So this periodic table, I don't have the groups numbered. I don't have the periods numbered. But remember, periods are going to be side to side. They're going to be the rows. So these are the periods. And so this is period 1 that only has 1 and 2 elements, right? So hydrogen, helium is period 1. So period 1, this is period 2, this is period 3, period 4, and so on, period 5. These are not separate periods. These, again, go inserted here. So these are going to be inserted here. So they're going to be in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, period 6. So this row here is inserted into period 6. So this is part of period 6. And these are also part of period 6. So just remember that. Now, when it comes to group numbers, these do not have an assigned group number. Okay, so these are not going to be grouped together. Well, I shouldn't say grouped together. These are not going to have a group number, right? So in the table, if it asks you for a group number of these, there's no group number. Okay. Okay, so no group numbers for those. Now, so these are going to be, again, period 6, period 7, right here. Now, for the group numbers, there's two ways of numbering the groups. Now, just remember, the groups are up and down. These are the columns. So groups are up and down. So these are the groups. Okay? So again, these do not have a group, but these do. And so there's two ways of numbering the groups. The first way is according to the IUPAC, which is the modern way of numbering the periodic table groups, is just 1 through 18, right? So this would be just group 1, group 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. So that would be the IUPAC or more modern way of numbering the groups. The older way of numbering the groups that you should be familiar with, and that's probably used more often than the other numbering, but the IUPAC is becoming more popular to use as well. So the older way of numbering is to divide this table into two different groups, the A group and the B groups. The A groups are referred to as your main group elements or your representative elements. And that would be this group, these two groups here, and these 6 groups here. So these would be these 2 and these 6 are going to be the main group or representative groups. If you know the electron configuration, you might know this as the S block, and this is as the P block. So again, those are going to be the main group or representative elements. Okay, so the way we number it according to the old way is we give these numbers letters A. So this is 1A, this is 2A. We skip over these are the transition elements. So these 10 groups here we skip over. So 1A, 2A, and then this would be 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A, 7A, and 8A for the noble gases. Okay. Again, these are the A groups, right? And then these groups here are called the B groups. And the way they are numbered is a little strange. You would think maybe, oh, this would be 1B, 2B, 3B, 4B, 5B, 6B, 7B, 8B, 9B, and 10B, but it's not. It's not numbered 1 through 10, but for historical reasons and grouping reasons, they weren't numbered that way. So this was actually 3B. So this is group 3B, 4B, 5B, 6B, and 7B. Okay, so it starts with 3B and goes in order to 7B. So 3B, 4B, 5B, 6B, 7B. And then you get 8B after that, but there's 3 groupings of 8B. So this would be 8B, this would be 8B, and this would be 8B. So iron, cobalt, nickel are all these groups. These groups are 8B. And then following 8B, you have 1B and then 2B. So 1B and 2B, instead of starting first, are at the end. So again, don't ask me like why that is, or well, you can ask me though why that is down in the comments, but I'm not going to go over it in much detail. If you want to know more, go ahead and ask and I can fill you in a little bit more. So that's the way of the numbering of the B. Again, it's really important to keep that in mind if we're going to fill in this table. So again, starts with 3B, 4B, 5B, 6B, 7B, and now we have 3 8Bs. 8B, 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 and then we have 1 and 2. So 1B and 2B. And so that's the old way of numbering your groups. So again, IUPAC is 1 through 18, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 18. Or the older way is to divide them into A groups and B groups. Again, these 2 and these 6 are the A groups, and the transition elements, these are called the transition elements, are the B groups. This down here are called the inner transition elements. The reason they're called the inner transition elements is because they are stuck inside the transition element. So they're stuck here, and we call them the inner transition elements. Again, these do not have a group number. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's go ahead and fill in our table. Okay, so let me move this out of the way. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So, first column or first row here, we're given Al. If you look on the periodic table, Al is for aluminum, so the name is aluminum. So we're going to write down aluminum. The group number. Oh, we got the symbol. So the group number, again, in this case, oops, hold on a second. Found a mistake. Okay, fix that mistake. Okay, so the group number. So if we go to, if you go to your periodic table and you find aluminum, you'll find that aluminum is in the, according to the IUPAC way of naming, it would be in group 13 or group 3A. So we'll put 13, that would be the first number, would be the IUPAC, and then 3A would be the old way of naming. Okay, so is it a metal, non-metal, or metalloid? Aluminum, as you're probably familiar with, aluminum foil, that's a metal. So this is going to be a metal. It's also to the right of the, or I'm sorry, to the left of the metalloids. So anything to the left of the metalloids is going to be a metal. Okay, so that's a metal. It's in an A group. All A groups are representative metals, or they're also called main group metals, right? So main group elements or representative elements. So this is going to be representative. Right? And the number for the period. So what period is in? If you count, again, the periods are the rows. The periods are the rows. So if you count the periods, so let me bring this over again. Okay, so here you'll find aluminum. So again, counting over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So it's in group 13 or 1A, 2A, 3A, right? So it's in group 13 according to the IUPAC naming, and 3A according to the older way of naming, the A and B groups. For the period, again, the periods are going to be rows. So we want to count the number of periods. So this is period 1, period 2, period 3. So aluminum is in period 3. So we'll put in 3, number 3 here. And is aluminum a solid, liquid, or gas at room temperature and pressure? Well, that would be a solid because it's a metal. Most metals, almost all metals, are going to be a solid, except for mercury. Mercury is the only liquid metal at room temperature. Okay, silicon. So silicon, if we look on our periodic table, so where's silicon? So silicon, if you find silicon in your periodic table, here I got a one here. So silicon is going to be right there on the periodic table. So you'll notice its symbol is Si. And you'll notice that as far as groups go, it's in this group with carbon. So you can count the group numbers 1 through 18, right? So 1 through, this will be 12, 13, 14. So it's in group 14 or it's in group 4A. So we can fill in that information. So silicon, its symbol is Si. The group it's in is either going to be 14 or 4A for the old way of naming, so 14 or 4A. So silicon, it's metalloid, so you're going to write metalloid. It's one of those, it's on the stairway, so we're going to write metalloid. And it's in that group, it has an A group number, so it's a representative element. So we're going to put representative. And as far as the period goes, so looking at the period here, so we got silicon here. So we got period 1, period 2, and period 3. It's next to aluminum. It's in the same period as aluminum. So period 3. And in this case, it's going to be a solid. So silicon is a solid. All right, next we have nickel. Nickel, Ni, if you find Ni in your periodic table, that's nickel. And the group it's in, so nickel we saw here, nickel is right there. It's in the B groups. So if you count by the IUPAC numbering, 1 through 18, then this is going to be 1, 2, and then we start 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's in group 10 according to the IUPAC naming, but this is in group 8B according to the old way of naming. So 8B. So it's going to be, what I say? Let's see. 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 according to the IUPAC, but 8B according to the old way of naming. It's a metal because it's on the left side of the stairway. So that's a metal. It's in the middle group here. It's got a B number. It's in the middle here, right? It's got a B group number, so that's going to be a transition element. So we'll put transition. So a transition element, and the period that it's in, that's going to be, again, if we look at the periodic table. So here, so we got, let me fix this a little bit. Okay, so we have here period 1, period 2, period 3, and period 4. So if we go across period 4, we see nickel. So period 4 for nickel. So that's going to be period 4. And nickel is a metal, so it's a solid. Again, the only non-solid metal is mercury, which is a liquid at room temperature. Sulfur, S. If you find S, that's going to be sulfur. And if you look on the periodic table, again, periodic table, where's sulfur? Sulfur's right there. It's on, here's the stairway. There's the stairway. So it's on this side of the metalloids. So it's a non-metal. And you can see here that it's in the group A. So it's in group 6A or 16 according to the IUPAC. So 16 or 6A. So 16 according to IUPAC, 6A according to the old way of naming. It's sulfur's on the right side of the metalloids, so it's a non-metal. It's a representative, right? Because it's got an A group, it's a representative element. And sulfur, if you count the rows, it's in 1, 2, 3, third. It's in the third period. Period 3. And this is going to be a solid at room temperature. Okay. So next we have F. If you find F on the periodic table, that's going to be fluorine. So Fluorine. Fluorine is in group 7A or 17. So 17 or 7A. Because it's got an A group element, that means it's going to be so metal, metalloid, or non-metal. So it's to the right of the metalloid. So that's going to be non-metal. It's going to be a representative element because it's got a 7. It got an A next to its group. It's in the A group, so that's representative. And if you count the number of rows going down, you'll find that it's in the second row. So that means it's in the second period. And in this case, fluorine is a gas at room temperature. Potassium. Potassium is K on the periodic table. So we're going to put K here, capital K. And if you find potassium on the periodic table, you'll find that it's in group 1A or group 1. So 1 according to the IUPAC, or 1A according to the old way of naming. It's to the left, far left of the periodic table, so it's going to be a metal. And because it's got an A group, that means it's a representative element. It's in one of those representative groups. So representative element. And if you find the row that it's in, that's going to be the period. So if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, it's in period 4, row 4, or period 4. And because it's a metal, it's going to be a solid. All right, next, Hg. Hg, if you find Hg on the periodic table, you'll find that that is mercury. And mercury, if you find mercury, you'll realize that that's a transition element. It's in the middle group here. So let me show you. So where is it? Right there. It's in the last group of the B groups, the transition elements here. So that's going to be, if you remember the numbering, that's going to be number 12 according to IUPAC, but it's also 2B according to the old way of naming. It's a B letter, so that tells you something about where it is. As far as metal, non-metal, metalloid, mercury is a metal, right? It's to the left of that stairway. It's to the left of the metalloids. So it's a metal. It's got a B. It's in a B group, so it's a transition element. Transition. And it's in what row. So if you count the rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's in row 6, so that's period 6. So we'll put a 6 there. And this is a liquid at room temperature. It's the only non-solid metal. Okay, let's hurry up with the next one. So uranium. Uranium, U. U is the symbol for uranium. It doesn't have a group. So remember what I said about the inner transition elements. The inner transition elements are the only ones that don't have a group. So again, that's going to be a metal because they're also called the inner transition metals. And these are going to be inner transition. And uranium, remember they get inserted here. So uranium's right here. So this gets inserted, these two get inserted here. So you'll see that this is in period 7. So uranium is in period 7. And it's going to be a solid. Metals are solid. Okay, continuing along. Mn, that's manganese. Mn. What group is it in? So if you find manganese, you'll find that it's in the B groups, and you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's going to be in group 7 according to the old way of naming, but it's going to be in, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oops. Forgot. Manganese. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's in 7B according to the old way of naming. So it's a transition element, so that means it's a metal. It's a transition element. It's in period 4. It's in the 4th row. And it's a solid. It's a metal, so it's a solid. And let's go to the next one. Calcium. Calcium is Ca on the periodic table. It's in the 2nd group, so that's either, it's going to be group 2 according to the IUPAC, group 2A according to the old way of naming. It's going to be a metal since it's to the left of the metalloid, so it's a metal. It's a representative metal. Because it's got an A group, so representative. And if we count the row that's in, right, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Counting down, that's in the 4th period. And it's going to be a solid. Next, we know that it's in 17A or 17 or 7A. So all we have to do is count the group number. And we're told it's in period 4. So go down to the 4th period and count over 17. So we count down 1, 2, 3, 4. We count over to the right 14 or 17. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So bromine. So we identify it as bromine. So that's going to be bromine, Br, that's going to be, a non-metal, and it's a representative because it's got an A, and it's going to be, in this case, a liquid for bromine. So that's it for this video. You can fill in the table on your own. And if you want to know the answer, you can ask me. If you enjoyed this video, if this was helpful in any way, then like the video, share the video, subscribe to my channel, put a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Thanks for joining me, and have a great day.